what the Wednesday meeting looks like. So I'm going to run today's meeting.
You going to introduce yourself?
I'm Dave, for those of you who don't know me, and continuing on with the Yellow Belts, presenting for a few weeks here. So, a couple anniversaries here. Dave McCarty. Dave in this? No, today's Friday. And Pete. I know Pete's here.
There you go, Pete.
Pete? 4 years. Go Rangers. So, I think it was mentioned last week by Jordan that there's going to be a new email. There were some issues last week. We couldn't use it to send out this week's chapter, but hopefully that'll be up and running this week. So this week is chapter 2. Did most of you have a chance to read chapter 2? Take a couple of minutes. It's going to be going out every week, so hopefully you can take the time. Oh, I didn't realize those were going to come up each one. So, did anybody have some thoughts on chapter 2 before I go through a summary? Right, so basically, in chapter 1, Paul was told that he didn't know how to manufacture, and a week later, some kids approached them with their lean knowledge they had gained from some experience in Japan. So they hummed and hawed because the cost was going to be $10,000 a week, and they weren't sure that they could afford that, but in the end, they said it's one of the best investments they ever made for their company. During this process, early on, they changed their mindset. These two guys were able to change their mindset and look at how to change the processes. The one example they showed was that Brad challenged Paul to take a machine setup from 45 minutes down to 5 minutes. Said it couldn't be done, there's no way, we've been doing it this way, this is the best way to do it. Not only were they able to, in a week, take it from 45 minutes to 5 minutes, they continually improved, and later on they were able to get it down to 2-minute setup each time they do it. So the takeaway that Paul had from this initial meeting was that he was introduced to the lean theories of eliminating waste and continual improvement. So did anybody have any comments, aha moments, or they inspired from the chapter this week for their lean cards?
I'm curious as to how many weeks they spent 10 grand a week.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to know.
Yeah.
So
Hopefully not many.
Yeah, hopefully not many. Yeah. But I mean, it shows to prove. I mean, 45-minute setup down to 5 minutes, and they kept. They didn't even think 5 minutes was good enough, and they keep working at it, right?
Effort to eliminate inventory.
Yeah.
So there's that savings too.
Yeah, they didn't. They weren't stockpiling anymore. They built as they needed it. They did just in time. Yeah, I think from my perspective, what I thought was most important to that was that. Here's a guy who had a great business. He thought he had it all kind of sussed. These young punks, really, when you read the chapter, come in and tell him, hey, you know what, you don't know what you're doing. And, to most people, that would be a blow to their pride, and they'd say, get out of here. You don't know what you're talking about. But he was willing to be open and actually be open to new ideas, and that's a big part of lean, is actually being open to new ideas and thinking outside the box. Because he did not think that they were ever going to get that machine down to 5 minutes. And they did it. And so that's the same kind of thinking we have to take to our day-to-day lean journey is, really, is there something more we can do? Because let's be honest, I mean, I'm sure a lot of us sit here and go, no, there's no way that's ever going to happen. I'm sure a lot of us come up with the 20 ways to kill an idea when we think about some of these things. We got to be open, we got to think, hey, you know what, there really is a chance. And then the continuous improvement, always continually to improve. So not only do they get it to 5 minutes, then they were going, well, let's take it to 2 minutes. Right? And so we probably have lots of processes where we think, oh yeah, we do a pretty good job with this, we've got it. We could probably be improving on a lot of things that we do on a day-to-day basis.
I think the only one difference between his business and our business, and we got to sort of put that in perspective, how do we get around that? He was willing to put out 10 grand a week to fix his business. Right. Whereas from our standpoint,
we do too. It's called lean black belts, and we pay them a lot of money to be our lean black belts, and we spend a lot of money to get our people trained for yellow belts, green belts. So we're spending the money on this too, right? And when a black belt comes out, we have to be open to what can we do to change, right. And that's really that starts with us as the leaders, and then it filters down.
What's the highest level we have here?
We have we will have a black belt. We're in the throes of hiring a black belt here. Rick is a green belt, and we have a couple others that are going for their green belt, so right now our highest level is a green belt.
Alright, so that's a good lead in to a challenge for this week. So look at some kind of process that you do over and over. You've probably been doing it the same way for a long time, and you might think you do it as efficiently as you can, just like Paul and FastCap thought they did with that setup, that 45 minutes was the best way to do it. So ask yourself a few questions. Is what you're doing providing value for yourself, for the customer? Can you pre-complete any part of the process so that it's done, whether it's photocopying the form half filled out, setting up an email template, something else? Can you change the process or the things you need for the process, where things are? And also another thing would be, by doing a little extra work each time, could it save you work down the road? So the one thing from this chapter was that Paul had was you and I are 24/7 waste generators. So whether at work or home, just think of ways, start getting in that mindset, ways you can cut out waste. We were hoping to have a video, but didn't make it. So chapter 3 is going to be on one-piece flow. And then we've got a few cards here. Pete, did you want to talk about your card?
Yeah, I use a steno pad because I noticed a lot of desks, they have a lot of papers all around their desk, and a steno pad keeps everything in one pace. And I primarily use it for when I'm getting a phone call, not so much emails, mostly for phone calls, guys asking for something, he wants me to quote something or wants to return something, and I write in the book, and basically I put a little yellow sticker beside it with the customer's name and say whether it's a code, whether it's a return, whether it's an order. So if I don't get to it right away because I'm in something, whether it's another order, another quote, I know it's there. It's always a reminder for me on my desk. Well, yeah, I got to go back and do that order, because sometimes you put a piece of paper, throw it somewhere, like in an inbox, it gets lost in there. At least I know that yellow tags, those stickies, are a reminder to me that something's got to be addressed with it.
And it saves you flipping back through the book each time to find out the stuff you haven't done.
Right.
Carol?
Okay, this is where I get invoices from suppliers, and the cost is not matching the cost on appeal. A lot of times are special orders. So in the past, I always would send an email to the person and explain everything. So now I've given them a heads up. What I've done is just created a little spreadsheet, and I just quickly fill it out and send it off to them rather than typing the whole explanation out. So I gave them a heads up. This may sound a little impersonal, but it's lean, and also for David Kennedy also wanted me to be able to track somehow on this issue. So now I can track it because I'm keeping the documents.
Good stuff.
Justin?
Normally when I end up with scrap or damaged wire, I throw it all onto a skid, I put it outside, then I keep going and keep going and keep going until I got about 5 or 6 skids, and then I go out there and I separate aluminum to copper. It takes to an hour to do that if you let it sit up. Now I've set up some crates outside, and as I get aluminum scrap, it goes into the aluminum crate, and when I get copper scrap, it goes into the copper crate. When it's full, I wrap it up, talk to Greg, and get it shipped out.
Excellent.
Sounds good.
It's really good.
Did anybody else have a card they wanted to speak on this week? I was inspired by the size of Rob Lavender's signature, because I had to go through an email thread that was about 20 pages long, and I spent 70% of it was just scrolling through his signature on every second email. So I looked at my signature, and I thought it was fairly compact already, but I thought I can probably make it even better, so I changed some fonts, changed the format. I know we've all got different eco fees and Milwaukee and different things in there, so maybe take a look this week at how you can shrink your signature, because it saves you time when you're looking through emails, but also everybody you send that email to, it saves them time, it saves paper every time you print out, and you're not looking for the one line in between signatures and subject lines. So something maybe to look up this week.
That's good.
I think that's it for the lean side. Where you don't have cards this week, the paper cutter's MIA, so we'll get the cards out to you in a day or two, hopefully.
That was months ago.
Okay, very
All right.
good, Dave. Excellent.
Thanks.